Thank you very much, and pleasure to be at the AI and Data Virtual Summit. My name is Mike Meriton. I'm the co-founder and COO of the EDM Council, and my hope is to share with you topics that the EDM Council worldwide is active in the area of analytics and cloud and graph management. A little bit about the EDM Council to start off. Our mission is to elevate the practice of data and analytics management and support the role of the data professional. You'll see on the right side that we have been operating for 16 years. The organization is worldwide, approaching 300 companies at this point and over 10,000 professionals. And key to our principles is we believe in a responsible data-driven organization and establishing data literacy for all. And what makes us special as an organization is our neutrality. We bring together many companies that you'll see in a moment that you'll recognize to work on very difficult problems in the industry and then to share that best practice back to all other organizations. These are the 6 things we do to support members worldwide. Best practices in the top left, and we'll cover that in more detail. Standards for knowledge graph, industry ontologies and analytics, training and certification programs, research and benchmarking. Many regulators worldwide are part of the EDM Council. And as mentioned before, by networking people and companies together, we work on very important issues and then share the best practices and standards back with industry. This is a quick overview of some of the newest members. The EDM Council has experienced significant growth worldwide, growing over 50% in the last 12 to 18 months. An easy way of looking at all these logos is to break this into sort of 3 segments. On the left of the screen, you'll see that the heritage of the EDM Council has been in the financial markets. So we have a very significant share of members that are the top financial institutions throughout the world, including their regulators, like in the United States, the Federal Reserve System or the SEC, the Bank of England or the FCA in the UK, and we work with the ECB and many other organizations throughout the world. In the middle of the page, especially for our work with cloud in the last year and a half, the 3 major cloud companies worldwide in revenues, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft with the Azure solution set, and Google Cloud Platform, they're all both members of the council and board members. And then finally, on the right side, you'll see logos from many other industry leaders, such as Johnson & Johnson for pharmaceuticals or AstraZeneca for food and commercial products, Nestle, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and then very interesting organizations like NASA and others representing the membership throughout the world. So it's a very exciting and growing list of companies. Now, a little bit about the specifics of what the EDM Council does, and this is very helpful for analytics and data initiatives, which is the most highly adopted framework worldwide for assessing data management and analytics capabilities is DCAM. 62% of members worldwide are using this. It was developed with members over several years. And you'll see on the right side an overview of the main components of the DCAM architecture. You'll see the foundational components of establishing a data strategy and a business case, forming the data management program and the funding for it that's sustainable, the executional modules of establishing business and data architecture, data and technology architecture, of course, data quality management hand in hand with data governance. And then you'll see the 7th component of data control environment. How does the data and analytics team interoperate with the chief security officer or compliance or regulators or other third parties from a control perspective? And then finally, since the chief data officer today, 52% of the time owns the analytics function as well as the data supply chain, we more recently in the last 2 to 3 years have added in analytics management into the capability framework. Now, underneath these components are 38 capabilities, 136 sub-capabilities, and this is a auditable, scorable framework that many companies throughout the world use to audit their data programs and validate their status and best practice. And then in a neutral way, since this is built by a nonprofit, the EDM Council, they can share this with their board of directors and feel that they are being independent in their assessment of their operations. In fact, with a little more detail, these are the 7 capabilities that underlay the 30 sub-capabilities for establishing best practices for analytics management. And you'll see the series of components that the analytics function is established, It's aligned with business and data strategy, aligned with your data architecture, aligned with data quality, that the analytics platform is designed and operational, that models are operational, established, and that both the culture and education needs of the organization are managed. Again, this is an auditable assessment of analytics management and available for companies to use. The use cases for things like DCAM, and you'll see in a moment the global cloud framework as well. It's to help start a new program and have a separate independent list of the activities so that you can secure budget. It's a great way to train a team of data and analytics professionals because most people in data and analytics have come from very different backgrounds. Of course, some of the major functions in data, like data stewardship, data governance, data quality, very difficult to get in university training. Yes, you can find a data science kind of courses and degrees, but data management's more difficult. So there's a series of good training. This creates a common lingua franca or common language for everyone in data and analytics. And then finally, once companies assess against the framework, they can then benchmark, which you see on the bottom right, against their all industry companies and industry companies in their peer group or geography. So it's an excellent way to independently understand where you stand, present that to top management, secure budget, and continuously re-examine your best practices and assess year to year. Now, with all that background, the EDM Council has been involved in many things around data and analytics. The two areas we're going to especially focus on beyond DCAM is the work that the Council is doing for Knowledge Graph and a Knowledge Graph Innovation Lab, and the release of the industry global framework called CDMC, the Cloud Data Management Capabilities Framework. But in addition to that, you'll see many other things we do to support interest groups, industry work groups on things like data ROI, ESG data, a major work group within the EDM Council. And then we support leadership forums for CDOs and women data professionals. So many things to be involved in and to engage. In the area of Knowledge Graph for analytics, the Council is involved in four things. Number one, we advocate the leveraging and use of Knowledge Graph to power advanced AI and analytics platforms. Number two, we support open training and certification programs that are independent of specific graph or analytics technologies. Third is we support industry ontologies that then power these Knowledge Graph. FIBO stands for the Financial Industry Business Ontology. Auto is for the Automotive Ontology. And shortly, the EDM Council in the pharmaceutical and life science industry will be building out a medical data products ontology. These are open source. They're available on GitHub and can be downloaded to power your Knowledge Graph and speed up results and delivery into your marketplace. And then finally, we have an open Knowledge Graph shared lab that supports ontology and use of graph. These are just some of the companies. You'll recognize many of these logos, whether it's Neo4j, Tiger Graph, Informatica, and so forth, that are involved in leveraging some of the open source Knowledge Graph accelerators in the industry sectors I've just mentioned to deliver solutions to end companies that want to leverage graph technology for their analytics. A very powerful statistic shared by Gartner Group very recently, and we're partners with Gartner Group, is that it's expected that 70% of all decisions made worldwide by 2025 will be coming from analytics and AI from Knowledge Graph capabilities. So this is a very important area that the Council is very active with, and we believe that this is very important to each company to invest into graph for their architectures. Finally, we have an innovation lab that's been tackling complicated industry problems where we bring together enterprise consumers, system integrators, graph technology makers, commercial marketplaces, et cetera, to tackle things that are shared common problems. For instance, in the financial markets, fraud and anti-money laundering. We just recently completed a graph lab where we brought together 6 different financial services companies globally. We shared anonymized data, leveraged Knowledge Graph technology, and in a cloud store, we're able to evidence that you can significantly lower your cost of detecting and understanding fraud and anti-money laundering. And number 2, that the cost of executing this has been dropped by 60–70%. Therefore, graph is a key in enabling these capabilities to solve complicated business problems. even across multiple companies in an industry sector. If you'd like to learn more about this, you can visit the edmcouncil.org website, and you'll see more materials about this. So how does this lead up to cloud data management? Well, here's the challenge. Virtually every major company in the world is leveraging cloud in their architectures. It's hyper-scalable. It can power significant solutions that were unfathomable in any company within an on-premise architecture. But it raises significant data risk and control issues, especially if you then see that 93% of firms use 2 or more cloud providers. So the EDM Council, based on our work with DCAM, was approached by a combination of companies to include Google, London Stock Exchange, Morgan Stanley, and several others to leverage what we built with DCAM, but to expand the framework into the area of cloud and hybrid cloud data management with 3 objectives. Number 1, to define consistent best practices for a hybrid cloud world. Number 2, to align key cloud controls to meet regulatory obligations for protecting sensitive data across different jurisdictions throughout the world. All of this with an objective that if there's a comprehensive independent framework, this will allow companies to accelerate their cloud adoption with trust. In fact, this was a surprise to us. In the course from March 2020 to May of 2020, in 60 days, over 100 companies worldwide and 300 people participated for 18 months in building the cloud data management framework. You'll see on the left side, many of the logos. These are not all of them that were involved. The second column, you'll see the cloud and technology providers. All of the major cloud companies each put in a half a dozen to a dozen engineers each. And then other major companies were recognized like Snowflake, Informatica, and so forth were involved. And then along the way, the EDM Council was briefing industry global regulators on the progress of this framework, getting their input as well, and then building all of the adoption support, training courses, cloud service certification programs, and more, with a release last September to the financial markets with planned availability across all markets. This framework has been built to serve all industries. And a little more about what's in it. If you open up the framework, you'll see this is the table of contents to 164 pages of guidance. Of course, it importantly starts with governance and accountability. It takes the perspective that all data in the cloud and hybrid cloud must be immediately cataloged and classified, which therefore then sets up accessibility and usage, protection and privacy for encryption and more. It allows you then to manage your data lifecycle and evidence any changes through data lineage along the way. And it also underpins the data and technology architecture so that you can have, how do you retire data off the web platform? And as well, how do you manage the billing for cloud platforms as well? All of this, again, is a auditable framework. And in fact, the team published these 14 key controls as vital for protecting sensitive data in any cloud or hybrid cloud environment, independent of which cloud platform you're using, whether it's one of the major cloud platforms like Amazon, Google, or Microsoft, or IBM, or a cloud platform that is within your operations. These 14 controls together will protect sensitive data, but do it in a highly efficient way, allowing your team with confidence to create business cases that are fit for purpose. Now, what's very nice about this framework is that it's available as a free license to all companies worldwide. So good news for all of you listening on this call. If you visit the EDM Council website, you can download the entire cloud data management framework, the 164 pages of materials, download scoring spreadsheets, and you can directly utilize this for your business operations. And it's designed to protect sensitive data across all industries. So personal information, PII or personal health information in the health and life science industries, all of the different definitions, whether it's GDPR or CCPA in California or PDPB in India, all countries have their individual regulations around protecting sensitive data. These controls are designed to help audit that, protect it, and gain confidence for companies. As mentioned, this is the structure of the framework. So there's descriptions, questions for both the cloud providers and the data professionals. There's scoring from 1 to 6 at the bottom of every one of these sub-capabilities, and what artifacts need to be demonstrated to prove from an audit perspective that you've achieved these capabilities. Now, there are two certifications for CDMC, one for the solution providers like the major cloud companies and technology providers for the 14 key controls. And you can also be certified if you wish, optionally on the full framework as an end company. These are new programs that are brought into the market, and we've had a great deal of companies sign up to provide these services into the marketplace. So if you're listening in and you'd like to learn more about the CDMC Authorized Partner Program to carry these capabilities into your local marketplace and the companies that you work with, you can see many excellent companies, including some of the major cloud companies, major consulting firms like McKinsey and EY are on board. You can join this group as well. In fact, one of our first assessments was done in the marketplace by Snowflake. This was conducted independently by KPMG. So in September, when Snowflake was launching one of their major cloud applications, they went through the process of being certified against CDMC as the first in the market to do that therefore the Snowflake application, whether it's running on Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, or Google Cloud Platform, is now able to validate and manage all of these key controls in protecting sensitive data. And Snowflake did the extra step. They volunteered for all of their clients and prospective clients worldwide. They put the tests up on GitHub, so it's openly available for anyone to download and run these tests within your operating environment to assure that Snowflake can meet all of these protections and controls and allow you to go to your board of directors and your management and tackle very big cloud initiatives, but to do that with confidence. So at the end, the CDMC framework has been designed to accelerate trusted cloud adoption. It supports your end companies and it supports the cloud service providers that are now building these features directly into their platform as essentially a product roadmap for application providers, for consulting firms, and very importantly for regulators that in fact, in viewing all these materials, added in some of the controls and recommended that to the EDM Council and the CDMC workgroup. And as mentioned, you can download this as a free license at the website www.edmcouncil.org. Just visit the CDMC menu and you can immediately download the framework. It's available for you. It does not require membership into the EDM Council. So I've covered a lot of material. I'm going to stop sharing. There may be a few questions that have come in